and fears. While we have the sun being in Scorpio, whatever your sun, moon, or ascendant, the determining on the modality, the element, and the archetype, those are going to be you having to determine what you need to separate from, what you need to adjust, or what you need to add on to when it comes to what we're all being consciously aware of. When it comes to our conscious awareness, is predicated towards things that deals with Scorpio, fixated water, being fixated on our own way of dealing with emotions and feelings. And with this space being birthed out of the eighth house, when we was in our gas and liquid bodies, creating these shapes and forms to condense and collapse and become this area and location where we first sparked that emanation, that awareness that bit in through the period of time of creation, mutation, and evolution, that also became our actual organs that we can call our genitals and things of those natures. So when it comes to us being more consciously aware of this space, this is going to be us. This is what our actions is going to be more predicated towards. So everything that deals with the eighth house, everything's that come out of the eighth house. So what do we get from those eighth house qualities? What can we observe in nature when going through these, seasonal transitions, when looking at, this period of time that we step and call Scorpio, which in anatomy, it corresponds to our sexual energies, or our sexual organs and things of those natures. So what type of seeds can stem from this space? So when it comes to us going through these spaces and traveling through these spaces, and things of those natures, understanding these energies and understanding how these energies are formatted and understanding how these energies are influencing us, with us being inside this fluid conscious body of water, swimming as spirits, creating awarenesses, and that awareness plays out like a fluid or substance that you utilize to condense and create organs and vehicles and minds with. Understanding that first, this can kind of help you understand how to better create how to create a more brighter awareness, so that you won't be getting so encapsulated or trapped inside these shapes and forms that deals with a collective group of spirits creating that awareness right next to each other that plays out like a soul chamber, or y'all trapping each other, y'all trapping yourselves inside a environment and things of those natures. So it gets real deep when kind of understanding these energies, because just observing these spaces and going through these spaces, it depends on the type of mind that you're building, and if you're going to be aware enough to kind of be able to utilize that material that you're creating, that awareness, that light, that condense and becomes the fleshy fluids and things of those natures, your adrenaline, which directs your actions and things of those natures. So the type of mind that you're creating, coming from whatever space that you're comfortable with, that you already built comfortability in, that represents your true spiritual state of being, when it comes to the state of being that you like to be in, the state of being that you resonate with, and things of those natures. So this can kind of help us understand the astronomy from the astrology. So the astrology is the time and the date, the places. The astronomy is the meaning and reasoning and the essence that we're able to sense from that time, that date, that person, place, or thing, or that circumstances and scenario, to be able to add on to what we got going on. And when it comes down to our meanings and our reasons and things of those natures. And the anatomy is when both of those two worlds come together and create an environment that we're able to experience on real time. So what comes from the astronomy and astrology is the anatomy, the body that we're able to create. So when it comes down to these energies, and when it comes down to with the sun being a Scorpio, looking at the farther, the astronomy, time and the date, when it comes to when we was first going outside and tracking the sun, because we're all experiencing the things that we created from ash within, so without. So we're experiencing our creation. So we created from our subjective point of view, that objectivity that we see, that fusion, friction, and pressure playing out in the atmosphere. When it comes to it emanating that spectrum, that color spectrum, and that conscious awareness that we're pushing off, and things of those natures, that gives us the ability to be able to receive that when it comes to how we created the sun and moon cycles. So this takes us back to the spaces when we was first in our mental forms, in our mental bodies, creating a sky, creating above the horizon and below the horizon. So when it comes to that first offspring from that space that we created, the sun, at its first position, when we first birthed that idea, birthed that father, Internal, because when we externalize something, simultaneously we internalize something, we hop into those shapes and forms, being nothing, the spirit coming from all great spirit, all possibilities, having that ability attached to us, because we wanted to single ourselves out from all possibilities and experience our own space with other spirits that came after us and things of those natures. So when it comes to us first creating that awareness, sparking that awareness, the ideal father inside mama's womb, the atmosphere, external, internal, that created a portal system, that created a stargate that we was able to hop inside and create mental forms and mentalities so we can be able to experience that realm of reality in that dimension. So when it comes to that dimension, or that realm of reality that we created, understanding that first starting point and that point of reference for the first time, we'll encapsulate that and call that Aries. When it comes to the shapes and forms that we're in now, to be able to understand what we created from outside of ourselves while still being able to subjectify what we did objectively, and things of those nature. So we'll call that Aries. So that distance and position that we created, that transition, that emanation of the sun, that conscious awareness, we'll call Aries, because we'll actually see how that encapsulation will be playing out in nature when it comes to the actual things that stem from that conscious awareness that played out like pharmacies. I think that's the right word, pharmacies, because we created from that fluid, that material, that condensed and became the actual physical formation, earth, terra firma, that came out of those waters through pressure of different sea levels clashing. So we got different sea levels, we got the 5 seas, different sea levels clashing. And when it comes to the condensing of those thoughts and feelings, when we was aware in that space, joining energies, teamwork makes the dream work, having sex, joining our minds, emanating visions within that womb, that plays out like a substance, a material that condensed and became hardened over time through periods of evolution, that played out like, you know what I'm saying, crystals, rocks, sand, things that we can find on the periodic table, and things of those natures. So just understanding that mechanism, because it's all just a mechanism at the end of the day, understanding that mechanism and understanding that point of reference for the first time coming from the east, hey, and seeing how that atmosphere is interacting with the atmosphere that we created, that we stem from, that's rotating to the left, interacting with the atmosphere that was emanated on the right, and interaction between both of those two polarities, those two water cycles, those two densities, that's playing out differently in density. One they have two different temperaments, so they're basically two different temperaments. So that's what creates the more dense interaction that we're able to encapsulate and be able to utilize that material, that substance, to be able to create experiences and portals and things of those natures from those two interactions. The atmosphere interacting with the atmosphere on the left. But we created both of these things simultaneously, because when it comes down to understanding the mind and understanding how we first became aware, and understanding how we first created these shapes and forms, and just understanding going back to the space and the knowing that the spirit is nothingness. So we're fulfilling those spaces with something. That something is the something that we created, that we pull and extract from that nothingness, all possibilities. So understanding that we're always rotating to the left and separating from the same forms that we created, so that we can be able to hop back into those forms and expand it and contract it again. So we're always going through a process and a mechanism of expanding and contracting the shapes and forms that we created, that we're separating from, because we end up running back into that shape and form eventually. So this is what gives us the illusion of, this 360 that we're in, the dragon eating his tail. So when it comes to understanding that knowledge and understanding that mechanism, they can kind of help you understand what we're doing, so you can be able to create a more broader imagination or awareness about what you're doing, instead of getting lost into one cycle and keep incarnating and incarnating back into that same cycle to produce the same outcomes, thinking that you're going to be getting different results, but you're not the one actually changing the whole mechanism. So you're not going to really be getting different results. You're only going to be putting yourself on a path of insanity and routines and patterns and South Node type of energies. So we got to kind of understand that when it comes to having to implode the types of mental forms that we created, and the main mental form that we was created was playing out atmospherical, ghostly, or gas bodies. So the better that we're able to understand the mechanism of how to break down this type of science, metaphysical science, then that's going to be us being able to create a more broader awareness about what we're doing. And then once we go back to that space of birth, 7th, 8th, and ninth dimension, we'll be able to implode the awareness that gave us the idea to create these types of shapes and forms in general, that kind of put us in the space of creating this type of realm of reality, these types of realm of realities, because we're all in the same existence. It's like different existences, same realms of realities. So it's multiple existences out there, but when it comes down to this realm of reality that we created to experience each other with, this realm of reality that we created has encapsulated and condensed and became primitive. So we're still in our beastly animalistic natures. So when it comes down to the sun being a Scorpio, these are the energies that we're all going to be more consciously aware of, our beastly animalistic natures, and the types of desires that can stem from us being lost into these mental forms and these shapes and forms. And this is those natures, and the types of energies and natures that these things can put us in if we go too much on the extreme polar shift, trying to acquire these energies and these desires without putting ourselves in a proper space where we're able to self-reflect and do the right internal shadow work, so we can be able to detach and decipher when it comes down to what desires that we need in our life and what desires that we don't need in our life, so we won't end up, you know what I'm saying, biting ourselves in the ass, or setting ourselves up to be stung or let down, or developing a whole bunch of accumulation of energies that we don't need, because we need to kind of be a little bit more lighter when it comes to the way that we're thinking and feeling about things that's going on around us and things of those natures. So from that whole stimuli I just broke down, this is where we can kind of categorize and see traits of being depressed or doubting ourselves, or where our insecurities can flare up from. So when it comes to the sun being a Scorpio, this is going to be flaring up our insecurities. So the best way to go about these energies is to make sure that we're doing that self-internal shadow work and looking at ourselves in the mirror when it comes to all these shapes and forms that we have created for ourselves to experience ourselves within. So we won't end up self-reflecting on other individuals and dumping all of our traumas and mental illnesses on other individuals, because we lack the ability to take self-accountability at the end of the day. So we got to kind of understand that as well, so we can kind of put ourselves on a more healthier routine and pattern, so that we can start to, you know what I'm saying, slowly but surely get out of that mental form and get out of those spaces by creating a more expanded, broader awareness that can help us be able to hover above that ego that we may be lost into, that's playing out as something that's going to be a detriment, or something that can end up putting us in a space where we eventually end up selling ourselves short, or get put into a chaotic, transformative, circumstantial situation, because we was getting lost and we was getting misled by those desires, letting those desires whisper to us and direct our logic, our ability to think clearly and be able to decipher what's going on into the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension without getting illuminated by all the lights and distractions and illusions that's taking place in front of us, because we created a mental form, a mentality that resonates more with our true spiritual state of being, that puts us in a space of comfortability where we can start to build comfortabilities and firmaments in, so we can stay convicted within that mentality that we created without getting emotionally persuaded by things that goes on in the external world that's playing out in front of us, that's set up to really put us on these paths of losing ourselves by searching for ourselves within other individuals. So that's another, you know what I'm saying, that's where another stimuli can come from, that can put us in the energy of developing these insecurities about ourselves, because we may be on a path of looking for ourselves inside other individuals without you knowing that you are a mimic. You're just mimicking what's outside of you. You're just reflecting what's outside of you, because you create that esoteric hollow mirror of everything that you have created and everything that you have emanated into that space to become something that you are agreeing to when it comes to desires and things of those natures. So if you fulfill that space, that empty space coming from with you being pearly, if you fulfill that empty space with things that deals with so much of the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension, things that you see individuals getting validation for, and you may just want to get validation for these things, then this is going to be you dirtying up your pearly space with things that's already tainted, because these things that these individuals, when it comes down to inanimate objects, or however the circumstance and situation may play out, especially when it comes down to inanimate objects, you may just be utilizing these things to, as a bias, to protect an insecurity that you have, because you didn't go through the travels, you didn't expand enough, you didn't expand your awareness or your mind enough, and push yourself beyond your boundaries and your capabilities and your limitations to actually be able to expand that space when it comes to what fulfills your spirit and things of those natures. So you gravitate more towards inanimate objects because you see other people utilizing these things to protect their insecurities as a form of because they may be lost into their biases when it comes down to these devices and a whole lot of subsidiary of things, not knowing that you can be fulfilling these spaces when it comes down to things that you like to do, when it comes down to your creativity or whatever you like to do for fun and enjoyment, or however the situation is. But just understanding that you have to produce these energies instead of you being so consumed by these energies, because the more and more that you get consumed by these energies, the more and more that you're going to be putting yourself in a space where you're going to feel like you're going to be needing these energies to help you direct your life and to put you in a fulfilled space. And then once these energies are gone and you don't have them no more, then you're going to be like a crackhead, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be looking around for these energies everywhere, looking inside of people, losing yourself, trying to find whatever you lost inside of other people, and getting lost into those other people's dreams and imaginations and visions. Next thing you know, that you're trapping yourself and you create a more soul ties for yourself that your spirit don't need, because we're already stuck into a low vibrational holistic world. So this means that you are already set on a path of being a demon, of being a low vibrational type of entity, utilizing these deities, these minds and these bodies and these chakras. So this where the seed come from, of people that utilize things that deals with the external world, material, maternal, and things of those natures to get over on people. So this is where we can kind of pull that characteristic out of this space when it comes to observing individuals that get lost into these energies, that get lost into this light, this awareness that we created, coming from the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension, condensing into the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, and that being an encapsulation of the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension, as above, so below. And this is where we can kind of pull that characteristic by observing the spirits that became aware in this space, or how spirits are moving within this space. So we can call these individuals manipulative, or have alternative motives or secret agendas behind them. So we got to kind of understand how to be able to decipher between the lights and the illusions, and you don't get too lost into the light and you don't get too lost into the dark. So you have this equilibrium when it comes to your spirit. So you're able to understand both sides of the mind. You're able to understand how to control the light, and you understand how to control the dark, and you don't get lost into either. You're the one who's creating these things, being the creator, not the creation. So I got to kind of understand that as well when it comes to understanding the actual nature and mechanism of astronomy, astrology, and anatomy. Because the better that we're able to get more of a grip on these energies, and the better that we're able to get more of a grip on what we are being consciously aware of, and what we have illuminated when it comes to us creating the sky, us creating the heavens, and experiencing the heavens. This can kind of put us in a space where we will be able to know how we started these things, and how we can be able to fashion these things, and fashion organs and fashion minds and mentalities that can kind of mimic these things in its lightest form, instead of letting these things kind of direct us and make us get lost into our lower animalistic beastly natures. And then next thing you know, we're already doing something that we already experienced before. So God and all possibilities ain't gonna be able to use you as a vessel to experience something new, because you're already emotionally confined and confining into things that deals with the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension that we already created when it comes to these shapes and forms, that deals with us having to have 2 left feet, instead of you becoming aware of your own power and taking your power back and utilizing your power and your intellect and your ability to be able to add on to the universe and expand and contract the universe. So whatever mind that you create after this lifetime is going to be like an extra accumulation to what we have already created, that may play out like a whole geographical location, because you're going to be so aware and your mind is going to be so bright that it may play out like another sun. And the more and more spirits that we're able to wake up to get on that level of being able to comprehend those types of mentalities and those types of awarenesses, going back to the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension, then the more and more that we're going to be able to create a new geographical location that kind of mimics the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, that's going to play out more dreamlike, that's going to play out more atmospherical. So we got to kind of raise awarenesses and raise humans up so they can be able to comprehend that dimension that we're getting ready to create. So humans and individuals get so lost into this dimension that we already created, and only know how to go about attaining the things that in this dimension and going about it in demonic ways. So we got to make sure that we're not going about these new energies in demonic ways, because we're going through a new shift right now. And this new shift is kind of putting all of us in a space where we're going to be the ones actually ushering in this new atmosphere. So when it comes down to knowing about astronomy, astrology, and anatomy, it's really important to really kind of understand these things so you can be able to create a sufficient mentality, a sufficient awareness around these things so that you can be able to implode these things once this vehicle, once this shape and form expire at the end of the day, and not get so pushed into fear, because we can see that individuals who already run this realm of reality, when it comes down to we having individuals to govern our mentality, the government and things of those natures, they'll kind of promote things like fear, death, and violence to make us scared of what's the afterlife, carnation, what we all got the ability to do, because we've been doing this for eons and eons. If we wasn't doing this for eons and eons, we wouldn't be able to have different types of speciations and root races and things of those natures. So this ain't nothing new. This is something that we already been doing. So I ain't giving you no new knowledge. I'm just reminding you of what you already know at the end of the day, because we already been going through these energies. We already know about incarnation, reincarnation, incarnation. So it's just a mechanism at the end of the day, and it's about how you do the mechanism. Are you gonna do the mechanism in a demonic, low vibrational type of way? Or are you going to do the mechanism in a more godly, all possibility type of way? So it's up to you when it comes to understanding your energy and understanding this metaphysical science, so that you can be a representation for all possibilities to wake other individuals up, so that they can start to be on that path of being able to expand their mind and their awareness and their capabilities and incapabilities without getting lost into this world and the desires in other individuals' mental forms and mental illnesses that they may just be accepting because they may just be lost and they don't have no actual sense of who they are. So you're always going to be going back and meeting your maker, and that maker is going to be you, because you're the creator. So keep that in mind as well. So whatever types of thoughts and ideas and feelings and emotions that's on your mind right now, that you're emotionally invested into, that you're utilizing for a sake of comfortability, to fulfill those insecurities, because you may be utilizing that image as a bias, or that shape and form as a bias to fulfill those insecurities, what you may lack and what you may have in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension. You got to make sure that you have the right things on your mind, because these things can kind of put you in a position where you end up meeting your shadow priest and you end up meeting your maker. So if you're pushing out negative thoughts and feelings out into the universe, then best believe that those are going to be the same shapes and forms that's going to come back and bite you in your ass. You didn't take the time to actually learn about yourself and learn about the things that you need to be emotionally connected to and emotionally detaching from, so that you can put yourself in a more healthier space of knowing how to not get lost into your creations. And it's going to take us back to the starting point that we are the creator. So the better that you know how to kind of get out of that energy and get out of these low vibrational demonic stimuli that came from spirits becoming aware in low spaces and things of those natures, when it comes to us creating this whole 360, this parameter to experience all possibilities that we're all fulfilling with our thoughts and ideas. So you got to kind of understand that the energy comes from, that the universe is working through us. So this can kind of take us out of our biases that the universe is working against us or the universe is working for us, and put us more into the space that we kind of understand that the universe is working through us. So the better that we're able to understand that the universe is working through us, then this can kind of help us develop more mental strength. When it comes to going outside and observing the things that's going on around us, so we can be able to have a little bit more comprehension than our next door neighbor, than the person that's sitting right next to us. They may be lost into their biases. They may be lost into things that deals with having to feel that ego and things of those natures. So this is what we're all going through when it comes to Scorpio season, transforming that ego so it can become a phoenix, so it can become a thunderbird, so it can be able to expand, so it can be able to fly off into the distance and go the distance. So when it comes to the move in the Pisces, this is going to be the gas that we're going to be giving that idea, the gas that we're going to be giving that spaceship, the gas that we're going to be giving that mentality, that man, that image that we created. So the gas that we're going to be giving it to fulfill that spaceship is going to be things that predicates and cater more towards our dreams, our imaginations, and our fantasies. So kind of understanding that, we got to kind of understand that we got to make sure that we're connecting to the right individuals, and we're sharing spaces, and we're sharing your spaces and rubbing shoulders with the right individuals, and making sure that we are around trustworthy individuals that we can feel open and free around, expressing our spirituality around, and not just individuals that always try to utilize what we believe in as a sword or things of those natures to kind of put us in a space where we got to kind of emotionally debate, or we got to kind of debate or spar with these individuals because they have different belief systems. So we can't be letting individuals redirect our internal world as much, and redirect and direct our internal world as much. We have to be the one that has authority over these energies, and being able to utilize that vortex we created like a shielding system, so we won't be letting other spirits in and out of our portals and in and out of our worlds, and hopping into experiences with spirits that don't have no actual idea of what's going on in the world. They may just be lost into the world, lost into other shadow government and Jewish templates and things of those natures. They don't know how that they don't know how to utilize their mind. They don't know what the mind is for. They may just be backwards. You know what I'm saying? Individuals just be backwards and things of those natures. You know what I'm saying? But we got to kind of understand that, so we can start to, you know what I'm saying, put ourselves put ourselves in the right spaces. You know what I'm saying? Put ourselves in the right spaces. But this is also going to be us having to, you know what I'm saying, learn how to deal with. Well, this is also going to be flaring up insecurities and things of those natures. So our insecurities is going to be getting flared up during this time. You may be doubting yourself. You may be insecure about your capabilities and your incapabilities, because you may be accumulating negative, you may be accumulating and germinating negative archives when it comes to what are you emotionally connected to, what are you invested into, what type of people, places, and things that you have around you that you're picking up and sensing all these thoughts and feelings from, and things of those natures. So we got to kind of understand those energies first. And the better that you're able to understand those energies and not get so emotionally attached to those energies, and start to emotionally justify those energies, because the more and more that you emotionally justify an energy that you just picked up out of the world, and try to utilize that for your internal accountability, then you may end up accepting something that you may end up accepting an energy that don't even resonate in your space. And by default, you're accumulating that energy. When it comes to your original idea, your original intent, there's going to be an accumulation to that frequency to start to vibrate that even brings you down even more. Now you are doubting yourself. You doubting your dreams, your imaginations, and your fantasies, because you around individuals that already may doubt your dreams, imaginations, and fantasies. So you don't need to be sharing your dreams, imaginations, and fantasies with these individuals in the first place, because they'll end up body snatching you, taking your dreams, imaginations, and fantasies, and getting rich off of it. And things of those natures. Now you sitting back, mad and upset, blaming the world, playing the victim, because you see individuals taking your dreams, imaginations, and fantasies, and getting rich off of it. But who told you to open up like that in the first place? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how these masons and how these masons be doing, trying to do us and shit. You know what I'm saying? They be trying to goddamn watch us and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Steal all our information and shit. You know, steal our likeness and try to transmute it, make transcripts and shit about us. I'm saying, y'all ain't shit. Y'all ain't shit at the end of the day. Y'all ain't shit. I'm just saying, y'all ain't shit. Y'all ain't shit at the end of the day. Y'all just slimy, shiesty. Y'all real shiesty, but hey, it don't mean nothing. Whatever type of program system that y'all got going on, it really don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just gonna end up, practicing witchcraft on y'all self, doing it the inverted way, doing it for Lucifer and the demons, instead of you going outside and practicing these energies for yourself. So you're gonna end up, you know what I'm saying, getting blood on your hands. Just watching individuals like me and taking information from individuals like me, trying to screen record it, trying to plagiarize it, you know what I'm saying? And not actually going out and taking these energies into accountability, so that you can be able to go out and express and manifest and will things into your life. That's like you getting more blood on your hands, you know what I'm saying? That's you gonna meet your maker at the end of the day. But I guess it's how y'all secretly try to build with it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all secretly trying to, you know what I'm saying, trying to build with us a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I fuck with it, but you know what I'm saying, there's better ways that y'all can go about it, you know what I'm saying? We're in a time of oppression right now, you know what I'm saying? I got a cash out, you know what I'm saying? I got all those good PayPals and things of those natures, you know what I'm saying? So we can set up some good lectures and things, you know what I'm saying? There's other type of considerate ways y'all can go about it, you know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't just gotta do shit behind closed doors all the time, you know what I'm saying? You know, I can see, I'm not blinded. I can see everything. I can see 480p all around me. You know what I'm saying? 480p all around me. I can see it. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta kind of understand what's going on. And when it comes to what these nations trying to do behind closed doors, like goddamn ceremony or practice. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Everything out in the air now. It's in the air now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's no point in trying to hide it. You know what I'm saying? People gonna wake up regardless. Yeah, I don't even, you know what I'm saying? Once you get to a physical level, you don't even have to really need a body to wake people up anymore. You know what I'm saying? or just your presence, the fumes you push off. So I'm just saying, like, certain fumes that you push off into the universe, a person just pick up that scent, and they just go down those change of thoughts around, and now you possess that person. Now you're in that person's mind again, you know what I'm saying? Like how angels was in y'all mind for thousands of years ago before they came, not thousands, but 300 something years ago before they came, like how they was in y'all mind, motivating y'all, making y'all do what they were, and those things, same thing, same thing. You just gotta know how to do it. You just can't be sitting back behind closed doors, watching the individual trying to plagiarize and think that you're doing something because you added on a little bit to, the world magic square. People ain't gonna be able to pick it up like that. It don't work like that, champ. You know what I'm saying? It don't work like that, champ. You actually gotta be it. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have to die a couple of times, you know what I'm saying? Have to party a couple of times. You gotta experience the hell a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? Trust me, I've been there. I've been through some shit, you know what I'm saying? I've been here a couple of times just to experience this life, you know what I'm saying? I was just trapped in some, you know what I'm saying? Some prisons a couple of times, trapped in some prisons a couple of times, trapped in some screaming, you know what I'm saying? Screaming, trapped in some dreams, you know what I'm saying? I would have been still been lost, you know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for certain people coming back and really waking us up and thinking those things that need to be given the respect that they deserve. But you still got individuals in the world that just be haters and shit. They don't understand. God don't understand. That's why God don't fuck with y'all. You know what I'm saying? God don't fuck with y'all. So you know what I'm saying? God just gonna keep his distance. So that's how from a distance. And send his children down here and they're like, hey, just go do this shit. Just make them look silly, make them look goofy again, make them self-reflect. Go make them self-reflect again, a couple more years. You know what I'm saying? If they don't want to listen, y'all don't want to get. But I guess it's the word of power creator. That's the type of the word of power creator. That's the type of stimuli that power creator. Y'all just like to be heard. Y'all think y'all gonna want things. Go to a world where just like this. Y'all just gonna be self-reflecting, screaming. You know what I'm saying? It gets real crazy. But you know, I'm understanding these energies right now. When it comes down to the sun being a Scorpio and how to overcome doubt, how to overcome insecurity, how to overcome fear. Because all these energies are gonna be getting flared up right now. All these energies are gonna be coming to the surface right now, especially when it comes to Mars being especially when it comes to Mars being in goddamn Leo. So it's all about what you're doing because the power is in your hand at the end of the day. So you gotta kind of understand that. What are you mostly investing into? Are you wrapping yourself and mixing and mingling your energy to individuals that's gonna end up, you know what I'm saying, that's making you feel type of way about yourself, that's making you doubt yourself, that's making you second question your dreams, imaginations, and fantasies, that's making you second question your past, that's making you second question your aspirations, dreams, those things? Or do you have healthy individuals around you, or you're just in a healthy space in general? So it all starts with the mind. So you gotta make sure that your mind is right first. So the better that you're able to get your mind in the right spaces, then the better you'll be able to incorporate these energies into your life. That's what you're. So just looking around us right now, you just be able to observe the world and see that nobody mind is in the right space. So everybody's just, you know what I'm saying, acting on their own volition. So we gotta kind of understand that and be able to take self accountability. Because the better that you know how to take self accountability, the better that you'll be able to understand how to get more of a grip on this energy. Because that's one of our godly virtues, self accountability. And that's an energy that we all got the ability to take. That's an energy that we all got to make sure that we're doing, take a self accountability and as women to come through, even if we may have fallen short in the past. What are we gonna do to transform and transmute the energy so we can go better and go more into our favor without having to be so manipulated and be a little bit more genuine when it comes to us expressing our energy? So we can kind of have a little bit more grace from God. So we can be able to teach individuals how to get in and out of their energy without getting lost into their energy. And that's as you know, they letting their energy become a comfortability or a comfort space for them, and they don't want to see the world another way without type of glasses and filter systems over their face, so they're not going to be able to interact in a different way. And if a person come to try to take them out of their energy, they may hit those individuals with extreme rebellious energies. And the person may just be trying to wake them up because they may be on a path of destruction, self-destruction, and self-isolation and victimizing as just being a demon. You know what I'm saying? Just being a demon at the end of the day. So that's how y'all can kind of understand what's going on, and how to understand what's going on in the world. So y'all won't be getting so lost by all these lights and these illusions in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension. But that's with all this water energy being in the sky, we're all gonna be extremely sensitive to the emotions, to the spirit right now. So you got to make sure that you're in the right space spiritually, and that you got a good sufficient shield around you to protect you, so you won't end up putting yourself in a vulnerable space around individuals that's just gonna use you and abuse you and manipulate you, giving all of your pearls to swans. That's gonna make them dirty at the end of the day. So we gotta kind of understand that. So the better that we're able to understand that, then we'll be able to create a more healthier spaceship, a more healthier shield around ourselves and things of those natures. Because when it comes to these organs and these bodies that we already created, if you don't kind of understand that energy in a totality, if you don't kind of understand what created and that you are the creator, you will get lost into your creations, utilizing these things for a self-serving purpose. I think it's those natures. So you got to make sure that you're not utilizing these things and these organs and these bodies and these minds that we created already for self-serving purposes, because that's going to be God looking at you from a distance like you just a demon. You just another demon child. You're not one of my seed. You a Lucifer seed. You need to be with Michael and get in the colony. You know what I'm saying? Get your ass in the colony and go to church. You know what I'm saying? Go to church and watch me a little bit. Go to church. You know what I'm saying? So you can kind of get your mind right. So you can stop creating the similar shapes and forms that mimics that space that you in, being a demon. So we all got the ability to change spaces. We all got the ability to change as a spirit. But it's how you gonna do it. So that's what we gotta understand. How you gonna go about it? You're gonna go about it in a narcissistic, demonic, self-entitled type of way, or you're gonna go about it in a more angelic, pure type of way. So you gotta kind of understand that as well when it comes to understanding what's going on in the world around us, because this is because 90% of people in humanity have this type of mentality, because there's only two brains: Uriel brain and the inverted demonic brain. You know what I'm saying? The inverted demonic brain. So what type of brain do you got? What type of mind do you got? What type of mind are you creating for yourself? I think it's of those natures. But yeah, we got to make sure that we're understanding that and understanding that mechanism, and just understanding these energies, because we're all going to be picking up these energies. We're all going to be extra sensitive to this, to the senses, to the spirit. So the better that you know how to treat the spirit and be gentle with the spirit, you'll be more gentle like a dove, and that'll make you wise as a serpent. So you won't be getting manipulated or being a manipulator or having alternative motives. At the end of those natures, you'll be more pure instead of dirty. Now you can be able to emanate God's world. Now you'll be able to create God's world. Now you'll be able to be a vessel for all possibility in God, instead of you being a vessel for the demon seed, Lucifer, Michael. You know what I'm saying? Get in colony. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but this is where our fears and self-doubts stem from. It's a mentality. It's a mental space. So when it comes down to whatever mental space or mentality that you're in, that's going to be determining the type of spirit that you are, creating those shapes and forms. And if you're a real person watching me, drop some planes in the chat if you're a real person. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm thinking just some AI. Drop a plane in the chat. Well, I'm thinking just an AI. Goddamn Mason watching me on something. You know what I'm saying? Drop a plane down there. You know what I'm saying? A star plane or something. You know what I'm saying? Watching me for too long. Oh, they already on it. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. Y'all shiesty. Y'all real shiesty. You know what I'm saying? Y'all shiesty. Y'all real shiesty. It's all good though. It's all for good causes though. You know what I'm saying? We won't get negative. We won't develop no mental illnesses about it. You know what I'm saying? Wake some of y'all up. Y'all utilize this, add this to whatever y'all got going on in the world. As long as y'all doing it for God, that's all that really matters. But it's kind of fluky. It's kind of fluky though how y'all just try to utilize individuals and plagiarize things. But at the end of the day, we all building God's world, because it's all teamwork makes the dream work. So you need individuals like people that be in secret, people that be watching secretly, to be able to, you know what I'm saying, whatever they got going on behind closed doors to present this. But utilizing their puppets, y'all just let y'all know y'all puppets ain't gonna cut it. If y'all try to utilize a puppet or something to try to combat this type of knowledge, if y'all try to utilize a puppet to try to combat this type of knowledge, to express this type of knowledge without going through that space and actually experiencing these things at hand, because God gonna make sure God gonna make sure the right people is in the right positions to be able to express this, because you can't just be regurgitating and putting on a tape recorder and think that you're gonna be the one that's gonna be actually wielding this sword. So you gotta kind of understand that as well. So it's not even like a language thing that's going on anymore. Because if spirits like me come back again, we ain't even gonna need languages anymore. We're just gonna highlight a certain fume that we're gonna push off. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna get too deep into that energy, but it's gonna be a certain spume, or a certain fume that we push off, you know what I'm saying, as a spirit, to be able to wake people up again, to get people back into their natural space, to get people back into that natural order of the world of all possibilities. It is those natures. So, you know what I'm saying? It's been Who Allowed 360. Hope I enjoyed the video. Peace.